Welcome to The Money Hour with host Tina Mitchell and co-host Keelan Harvey. Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, and Keelan Harvey, MLO 1330075, are licensed loan originators with Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, and MLS 7233. The views expressed by the speakers on the following program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC. Now, in the studio, local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 3rd show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Bringing in expert advice and inside knowledge on today's events in our local economy and how it will affect your money. We are your local mortgage experts. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to connect you with the guests that we have on the show or answer any of your questions. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And our lineup for today's show, we have Dee Gupta of D Coaching, from shame to worthiness. Also in studio, we have Cheryl Thompson of Agua, how to convert more of your marketing efforts. And our last guest in studio, Brookes of Seed Intellectual Property Law Group, Strategic Advertising and Pitfalls in Parenting Ignorance is Not Bliss. Great information and great guests in studio. Again, for more information or to connect that we have with the guest, you can call in the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. And we're going to start out today's show, as we do each week, with a little money chat.
Money.
So, Keelan, I'm always excited to hear what you've got from Money Chat to share with our listeners. What's on your agenda today?
Well, I had to talk about the talk of the town, more or less the country, about the Fed dropping prime, quarter point. And I don't know about you, but I've been getting a couple calls and a couple emails of people kind of confused on interest rates because they dropped it by that from 2.25% to 2%. And we have to clarify for people, I think. So the Fed cutting rates does not, I repeat, directly affect long-term fixed interest rates.
That is correct.
So when the Fed lowers the short-term discount rate to stimulate consumer spending on short-term credit, it affects credit card rates, some car loans, lines of credit. Your bank accounts probably won't get as good of a return. But the short-term discount rate has little effect on long-term mortgage rates. And quite frankly, we often pad our pricing a bit because we know some of these things happen. And so if something dramatic happens in the economy, it's not like overnight they just drop a point. Like there's a little padding there. It's kind of less dramatic. They do go up and down on a daily basis, but nothing to fear at this point. Really, we didn't see much of a blip in the radar whatsoever. But rates are fantastic right now. There's no denying that. So
interest rates are unbelievable. And, just to chime in there, Keelan, the Fed's role is to manage inflation and to maintain a balanced market. So depending on what happens, if there's consumer confidence, then investors are investing in the stock market, and that's going to negatively affect the bond market. Mortgage rates are tied to the Fannie Mae 30-year bond, which, just like you said, is a long-term. The Fed's and prime is based on short-term financing. So if the bond market goes down, rates go up. Now, if the Fed's lowering prime, that's if that happens and it does too much. If it doesn't do enough and there is lack of consumer confidence, so they're not at that balance, which is what they're trying to maintain, then investors are pulling out of the stock market. They're getting a little concerned. They're going into the security of the bond market. Bonds go up, including the Fannie Mae 30-year bond. Mortgage rates go down. So no tie to the Fed, but will have an impact depending on what the Fed's plan does to the economy.
The economic data.
The economic data, exactly. Well, great information there, Keelan. And, I've always, the last few weeks, I meant to bring in the investor fix and hold product, but in Keelan, I never know what he's going to share in studio. And sometimes it inspires me to kind of do a little bit longer spin on what he brought in. I do want to do a shout out for mortgage professionals because that's the industry that Keelan and I are in. And if you didn't know, those regular listeners, I actually have a coaching program that I do for business professionals. My One Time Your Business 8-week burn. It's virtual live. You can attend anywhere. So if you'd like to spend a powerful 8 weeks with me, including mortgage professionals. But in the spirit of one-timing, it's around time management, business efficiency, and lead generation at the highest level possible. This is in spirit of one-timing your business. You need to get on video right now, and you need to be sending out to your clients, your referral partners, and everybody and what is happening with the Fed. Because the last thing that you want is you want all these calls coming in, asking what's happened. Just one time it. Be that educator, be that expert that you are, and share what's happening and the knowledge that you have. All right, back to my money chat, which is Investor Fix and Hold. This is a really great product for all of my real estate agents out there that are listening, that work with investors, that are buying properties that are in distress. It's kind of a drag to have to go in with a rehab loan. A rehab would be your 203K rehab through FHA, which is not for investors, your conventional rehabs, which are not for investors. And if you go in with a rehab loan, it's not as appealing to the seller because it's a rehab loan. Whereas what we have is we have a fix and hold, and the product, it avoids you to have to go through a rehab, which is going to make it a stronger loan. It's purchase plus improvement repair on short-term financing. Investment use only. So these are for our investors. First-time buyers are not eligible, so you don't have to be an investor, have a history of investment properties, but you have to have at least owned a property before. Now, interest rates, this is short-term financing, 7% interest only on a 3-month balloon, rate subject to change, but you have 30-day extensions available if you don't get the rehab done in time. But of course, again, you're going to close, you're going to get that taken care of for the seller and then do the rehab. Once the improvement is done, then we're going to refinance you into a standard loan. Now, there is a minimum credit score requirement. It is 720. There's a debt to income ratio. It's 45%. Eligible loan types is for conventional financing. Maximum loan amount is conventional conforming and high balance loan limits. So if you're in King, Snohomish, or Pierce County purchasing property in those counties, 726, 525, a lot of money for those investors out there. All other counties are 484, 350 as the high balance does not come into play. Loan to value, it is a 75% loan to value, but here's the really great thing. It actually could be a zero down loan because it's as completed appraised value, estimated value after the completion of the rehab. That's what I was trying to say.
You got it.
So depending on where that after rehab value is going to be, you could ultimately get to that 75% with a zero down. So that is so awesome. Now, there is a contractor registration. All contractors must be accepted by Gateway prior to final approval. Contractors must be licensed, obviously, as required by local, state, and building authorities, and repairs may not be completed by a relative or interested party. So for those investors that want to do the work themselves, this is not going to be the great product for you. But I want you to stay tuned because we are going to talk about a fix and flip. So you don't want to miss our money chat. Coming up next on the Money Hour, from shame to worthiness, Dee Gupta of D Coaching, right here at 1150 AM KKNW after the short break.
Whatever your business is, your online reputation is what drives your potential customers to buy from you instead of your competitors. It is no secret that people more frequently utilize businesses that are recommended by other consumers and that have high ratings in comparison to their competitors. The more stars your average rating has, the better you are in the eyes of a consumer. Your positive reviews impact sales, search results, and visibility on the map. So how can you do that? Welcome to Agua. We're here to take care of all your online reputation management. With Agua, you can finally get those positive reviews that speak louder than any marketing campaign and drive more traffic to your business. Visit Agua today and get started with your free reputation analysis.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Thompson with Agua. You can reach me at 206-462-4821 or email me at cheryl@agvo.com.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW at the Saturday, August 3rd shows. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I am your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
You're local mortgage experts. It's a great day to talk about money, and that's what the show is all about, how to make money, how to save money so that you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're listening to our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to connect you with our guest or answer any questions that you may have. You can call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, a regular contributor of our show, Dee Gupta of Dee Coaching, from Shame to Worthiness is our topic today. Dee, thank you so much for joining us in studio once again.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And a little bit about Dee. Dee is a part-time coach and a full-time rental property business owner who has done extensive study on emotional growth. Her perspective is that you are where you are choosing to be in your life. Your financial status, the quality of life that you live, and your relationships with friends, family, and your significant other. Everything is either where you want it to be or where your belief level is of where you can be. The stage of personal growth you are at in each area of your life determines on where you are in that area. And you cannot make more money than you believe that you can make. You cannot have a better relationship than you believe yourself capable of having. And your belief is your own worthiness in each area of your life sets the tone of where you are. And that's why I always love having a conversation with Dee and seeing what topic she's going to bring in each time that she comes in.
Yeah, Dee, it's so cool. You change it. You're so well-rounded as a coach. You get to change it up every time we get a new perspective. So I'm excited for this week. Or this show specifically, from shame to worthiness. So let's start out with the shame piece. What is shame all about?
So I'm going to use a definition that Brene Brown, a leading expert on shame, has come up with. She says, shame is the intensely painful feeling or experience of believing that we are flawed and therefore unworthy of acceptance and belonging. So basically, if we feel that there is something that is not perfect in us, or there's something that is not good about us, then we are unworthy and therefore we are unlovable. And that is the definition of shame.
Yeah, a pretty devastating place to be as well, Dee. So let's talk about how shame can really affect you.
I believe, this is my personal belief, that if not all conflict in the world arises from the fact that we feel unworthy and unlovable, and that comes from shame.
Yeah.
So it can be as simple as somebody getting really upset because somebody came in late. And the reason, how that shows up is you didn't respect my time, you didn't respect me, and that is not necessarily when somebody gets really upset. It's not a momentary thing. It is that you do not consider me worthy, and therefore I am unworthy, and therefore I am unlovable. And that's why there is a big reaction to something as small as that. And then, of course, somebody like Hitler, who would go out and try to prove his worth to everyone else, that comes from shame and unworthiness, that he has to, or somebody has to prove their worthiness by doing something huge.
And, that's such a great point, Dee, because you really have to come from the best place that you can. Otherwise, you get into that back and forth that gets into a bigger and deeper issue, all stemming and starting with shame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we all have negative thoughts and feelings. How do you know you're feeling shame specifically?
Okay, so shame is something that we all feel, and it is not this big thing that, I'm ashamed that I did something in my life kind of thing. It is something that we feel very often, moment to moment, and we have become so competent at running away from it and hiding it that we don't recognize it many times. So anytime that you feel that you had a thought or a feeling that it's like, I don't know how I could think that. Oh my God, I thought that. I wished somebody ill. And then you take that feeling and you drop it like a hot rock and you run away from it. And you're like, I'm never thinking that again because I'm not that awful person. No way. And we do that so many times without even realizing that we're doing that that's what shame is, where we are taking something in us and we're not accepting that there is something that maybe we're thinking ill of somebody, or maybe we don't want somebody to have that promotion because we feel that if they get it, then we won't. Maybe we're comparing, or maybe we're just feeling like I should have been at this point and I'm not at that point.
Yeah.
So it comes in many, many different forms.
See, isn't that like about perspective too? Like the truth is as
Of
you
course.
believe it and perceive
Right.
it to be, but not how it really is.
Right, absolutely.
Right? So it's about the perspective that you have that makes you feel that shame, right?
Right. And you feel that perspective because you're ashamed.
Yeah.
I see.
And also
Yeah.
you have to be careful on where your perspective comes from, because majority of people out there are going to build a perspective that's not going to serve you at the highest level. And it's not intentional. It's just because of the space that majority of people are in. So you have to be really careful to be able to block off things that are creating a perspective for you that really isn't your reality. And,
Absolutely.
so there's so much to this conversation, Dee. I love it. So why does shame not make intellectual sense for most?
So I'm an agnostic, and that means that I don't know what the truth is. I don't know if there is a Jesus or a Buddha or an Allah or the universe or a soul. Like I've usually been a very sciencey person. 5 years ago, I went to this 10-day silent meditation retreat called Vipassana. Now there, at the end of the 10 days, as well as every single other person in the room could access parts of themselves that we didn't know we existed. We didn't know was possible. And we did nothing at that time. We were not supposed to make eye contact, talk, exercise, write, nothing. We were just sitting there and meditating day after day for 10 days, closing our eyes. We could access, we were not doing things to prove anything to anyone, but we could access parts of ourselves that science could not explain. So that's what I call a soul. And it's pretty simple. You can, intellectually at least, you know that if you just have those 10 days, and there are many other ways, this is just one of those tools, but you know that if you have those 10 days, you can go there and you know that you are worthy, and you know that you are beautiful and joyous, and you don't need anything outside of you. You just are.
So beautiful.
What was that 10-day camp?
Vipassana.
Oh, I'll have to
It's
check that out.
It's near Olympia.
Nice. All right.
And it's close.
So, Dee, what is the antidote for when you feel shameful, or just shame in itself, especially considering you went through that journey? What did you find out about yourself, and how do you feel like people can stop that feeling of shame?
It's pretty simple, actually. Anytime you feel that thought or a feeling coming on, instead of running away from it and burying it and thinking, no, I'm not that person, you look at it, and you look at that feeling or a thought with compassion and kindness and curiosity. And you ask yourself, emotion, what are you trying to teach me? Because there is a lesson there. There have been moments in every one of your lives where you have been unstoppable, and you can go and you're not comparing, and you're not feeling any shame, and you're feeling great, and nothing anybody else does matters at all. Right now, at the moment that you're feeling shame, you do not feel that. So look at that and ask yourself, why am I not feeling that? Why am I feeling unworthy? And why am I having these thoughts that I do not consider good, or I should not have? And just look at that with compassion and kindness, and accept it.
Yeah.
Accept that I am feeling these thoughts right now. That does not make me a bad person. It's scary to accept it, because it's like, okay, if I'm feeling this, I'm a bad person. No.
Yeah.
I am just having these thoughts and emotions right now. And separate yourself from them, observe it, and be comfortable with it, and talk about it.
Yeah, I didn't attend a 10-day meditation retreat. That sounds awesome. But I did do a weekend meditation retreat, and it wasn't about silence. It was about practicing all of the different types of meditation. And when I first got to the very first class, at the end of the meditation, which was 2 hours to get us started off, I went up to the instructor and I said, "Oh, I'm so frustrated. I can't get this. My mind will not shut down." And she had said, your mind will not shut down. You're always having thoughts, but what you want to do is you want to welcome and appreciate appreciate the fact that that thought is there and then welcome it right back out. And she says, what's the thought that you're having? And I said, my back just hurts. I can't, and that's the thought. And she says, welcome it and don't focus on it and welcome it out. So it worked magically the next day that I came in, but I was driving home and all of a sudden I started to get a back pain. I've had tons of car accidents in my younger years and didn't get the right treatment. So I've had headaches and backaches and neck aches. And every time that happens, I put all of my focus on that area. If I've got a headache, my hand goes here, and a backache, it goes here. And so I tried that after I'd had this conversation with my meditation instructor. And I welcomed the fact that it was there, and I welcomed it and asked it to leave. And I put my focus on somewhere else. And I swear to gosh, no exaggeration, I have never had a massive headache. I've never had a back pain that has not gone away very quickly, or a neck pain. And all it took was not to focus, because that focus just brings more of it, right, Dee?
Absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Said.
So the feeling or the focus, what is something specific that you might be able to give somebody an example of what they could focus on to release that feeling of shame?
You could tell yourself, no matter how much you screw up in your life, no matter how much of a mess you've made of your life, no matter how many times you're doing it over and over again, making a mess, it doesn't matter. You have that beautiful core. You are worthy and you are beautiful. And it doesn't take a lot for you to be able to access that.
Yeah.
You just need to find the right tools. Vipassana is definitely one of them. And that's it. You know that you are.
Yeah.
Dee, how do you see the benefits of less shame in people's life? How can that help you to have less shame? Obviously, it's negative. That's a given. But what's your take on somebody who feels less shame in their life?
Feeling less shame is going to help us have better love for ourselves. And when we have love and compassion and kindness for ourselves, we are automatically going to feel the same way for other people around us.
Yeah.
So we are likely going to be less triggered, and therefore we're going to be calmer and more grounded and more centered when we're dealing with other people. And we're going to understand their shame when they get triggered, because we have gone through the same process ourselves, as well as if we are sharing the shame with someone else and we're talking about our shame to somebody else, then they are going to treat us with more kindness and compassion as well. And it is going to build that connection much, much deeper than you have already. So your relationships are just going to become much better.
Yeah. So Dee, as we wrap up our time here today with you, any final thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
I'm going to say this. Know this. You are as worthy as Nelson Mandela is. Know this. A homeless addict sleeping on the side of the street is as worthy as you are.
So true and well said. Dee, thank you so much for coming back into studio. It's always a pleasure to have you. I wish our guests could see the bright smile on your face and the beautiful person that you are inside as well. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And if you want to connect with Dee, you can call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online at themoneyhour.com. Coming up next on The Money Hour, how to convert more of your marketing efforts. We have Cheryl Thompson of Agua right here at 1150 AM KKNW after this short break.
Whatever your business is, your online reputation is what drives your potential customers to buy from you instead of your competitors. It is no secret that people more frequently utilize businesses that are recommended by other consumers and that have high ratings in comparison to their competitors. The more stars your average rating has, the better you are in the eyes of a consumer. Your positive reviews impact sales, search results, and visibility on the map. So how can you do that? Welcome to Agua. We're here to take care of all your online reputation management. With Agua, you can finally get those positive reviews that speak louder than any marketing campaign and drive more traffic to your business. Visit Agua today and get started with your free reputation analysis.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Thompson with Agua. You can reach me at 206-462-4821 or email me at cheryl@agvo.com.
Are you a homeowner in a condo community? Do you want to see the value of your home increased year over year? Do you wish your HOA had more money in reserves? Do you wish your property manager would respond to a simple email and phone call? Jebediah and his team at On Point Real Estate have assisted over 200 condo owners increase their property values with their high level of customer service and attention to detail. On Point manages over 20 acres of real estate in King County. Jebediah and the On Point Real Estate team is an award-winning real estate firm receiving the King County Small Business of the Year Award, Emerging Leader Awards, and the City of Seattle Human Rights Business Leader Award.
Hi, I'm Jebediah Gardner, owner of On Point Real Estate. You can call me at 206-623-1844 or email me at jsg@onpoint-properties.com.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 3rd show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And I'm your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts. We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast. We're here to connect you with the guests that we have on the show or answer any questions that you may have. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Cheryl Thompson of Agua, how to convert more of your marketing expert. Cheryl, first time in studio. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And a little bit about Cheryl. She was born and raised in Washington and has an extensive experience in the mortgage and real estate industry. At the age of 20, Cheryl got her first job working as a lender rep and was one of the top sales agents in her office. Cheryl rode out the 2008 financial crisis and succeeded as an independent loan officer while most decided to move on to other industries. After realizing her strengths, Cheryl then decided to change careers and focus more on the marketing side to help others that were struggling with their digital footprint. Cheryl has marketed for big name companies like Zillow, Market Leader, Sinclair Broadcasting, all of which focusing on helping others establish digital footprints. Today, Cheryl is working for a company called Agua.com, which she loves due to her client success.
Cheryl, so what the heck is Agua and what does it do?
Yeah, awesome question. So Agua is an online reputation management company. So we focus on your online digital footprint, helping you build your reputation by 4- and 5-star reviews, recent reviews, and consistent reviews.
So I just recently signed up for working with you, which is so exciting. Thank you so much for getting me hooked up. So I know how you help real estate agents and mortgage industry, but let's talk about that. How do you help? And obviously, if I signed up, it's got to be a really great thing. I mean, I'm your host of the show, right?
Right.
So how do you help the industry and benefit working through your company?
Yeah, so I think a lot of agents or loan originators, what they don't understand is when you Google yourself, you see yourself there. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, the way consumers are reaching out to real estate agents and loan officers, they're doing their homework. They're doing their research first, and they're going with the people that have the most 4- and 5-star reviews, recent reviews, and consistent reviews. So we have a way to streamline that and help you build that.
That's interesting. I have a couple agents that are like, where do I give you reviews? And I'm like, that's a good question. I mean, we have reviews, but to streamline that, I think I need to hire you too. I guess that's what I'm saying. How long have you been in the industry? So
I've been in this industry for about 20 years. Again, I was a lender rep, loved it. When the economy crashed, the market crashed. It was very devastating. Moved on to be a loan originator and then did some marketing for some news channels. Moved on to working with Zillow, doing lead generation with them, and then market leaders. So it's been an extensive time working with real estate agents and loan officers.
Yeah. So let's talk about, Cheryl, your competitive edge, because I know there's other companies out there that do what you do, but what your company does is really unique. And so let's talk about some of those differences.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have quite a bit of competition out there. The way I think we really differentiate ourselves is we don't carry your reviews on our platform. We streamline those right through. So if you have a Zillow, if you have a Google, if you have a realtor, we have a source that we streamline that through rather than having to go through all of those individual pages. And then what tends to happen is you're spreading yourself out there too much instead of narrowing that down to 2 to 3 sources. And so we go out, we create a funnel page for the agent or the loan officer and send that out to your past, your current clients, your sphere of influence, asking for those reviews. And we do that 3 times. It's super nice because, of course, out of sight, out of mind.
Of course.
So it's a great way. It goes out day 1. We send it out again on day 3 and then again on day 7.
Yeah, I love that. And something else that is unique with your company as well, and I learned this through the process, that if you're not continuing to move through the monthly subscription of it, the reviews are yours. So whereas a lot of your competitors, if you stop that service, they're going to keep those reviews and pull them down. And so that's a huge benefit. I also want to do a shout out on reviews, just a little tip on it. The best time to get reviews is whenever something is coming to an end, a good end, or whenever you've done something really well to pull something out of it, a challenge. Never miss that opportunity in asking for that review. So having somebody on your behalf to do that is amazing.
Well, what a shame how many success stories we have, and for that to just go missing, and you've done something amazing for somebody, and you're so proud of it, and then just we're kind of thankless in what we do. I am. I know you probably are too.
Well, I will do. I've done reviews for many, many, many years, but what I've done is I've done it on a page to make it easy for them so that they don't have to sign up through Zillow and these other things, learning through the process and really consulting with you because you're the expertise or the expert in this space, is that really is preventing from me having all of those reviews out there when someone looks, because you have to shift down to be able to see them, because what is coming up on the SEO engine is the Zillow. And so my strategy just wasn't on. And one more good example that you have to hire an expert to do anything that you're doing in your business because you're not an expert at everything. So
that makes a lot of sense. Tell us about some success stories, Cheryl. What are you seeing with Agua, and how's it working for people? Give us some success.
Yeah. So I have an agent just out of Lee Center, New York. She's been an agent for a short period of time, about a year or so. We reached out to her about 3 months into the industry, and she thought, well, I've never sold a home. I've never listed a home. How is this going to work for me? We're not just focused on your past or your current clients. We're focused on your sphere of influence. People want to work with somebody that can breed great things about them, that they feel good about working with that person, not just being a number to somebody. And so within 3 months of working with us, she had 2 closings. And these aren't from past clients. These are from people that she knew.
Yeah.
So it's just really important that people understand who you are as an individual rather than just going to a Zillow. And people, a lot of agents or loan officers will get in that mindset, well, I'm seen there. Well, guess what? Millennials aren't going there. Nobody wants to give their personal information anymore. They're going in and doing their homework. So you might think you're seen there, but you're missing the rest of the pie over here.
Yeah. First impression is now your online presence. I mean, there is no question about that. So you may miss an opportunity to get that first impression and not get that business. Just think about it. If you're in the car with some girlfriends and you're thinking about, randomly just going out for a dinner, and somebody's like, well, what do you want to have? Well, maybe Mexican. Everybody looks on their phone for the Yelp reviews for Mexican food. And it doesn't matter if you've got to drive an extra 15 minutes to get to that one that has a 5-star versus a 4-star. And surely if there's no stars at R, you're not going there.
Right.
They could be right next door to where you're at. So critically important. So Cheryl, let's talk about what else that Agua offers.
Yeah, so we will go and build profiles. Some people don't have maybe a realtor or a Zillow or a Google. Another great one is a Rate My Agent. Consumers that are going into a Rate My Agent, well, guess what? They're going in and reading reviews. That's what they're looking for. Those are people that are very serious in the marketplace of finding an agent. So we go in and build these profiles and optimize them for you. And when I'm saying optimize, I'm meaning keywords. So you're showing up in different categories rather than real estate agent, loan officer. So we go in and optimize those so that way you're found and you're more searchable.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, Cheryl. What do you mean by optimization? What does that mean to you, and how do you do that?
Yeah, so great question. We go in, for instance, for real estate agents. You have a real estate agent. So if somebody's doing a Google search, real estate agent Bellevue, but they also focus on lakefront properties. They focus on high-rise, beachfront properties. Those are all keywords, and that's optimization that you need in your profiles. So we go in and do that for you.
Nice.
So let's, Cheryl, talk about biggest obstacle, because no matter what service or product that you are offering to consumer, or in this example to a business professional, there's an obstacle. What is the biggest obstacle that you are allowing them to eliminate in collecting reviews? So somebody that's not hiring you, what's the biggest obstacle that they have, and why don't they have any reviews?
Well, so what happens is when you're handing the key to the castle, you're out of sight, out of mind. They're your best friend through the process, but now there's a whole different thing that they're worrying about. I got to move. Great, my loan closed. I got to pay this, or whatever that case may be. You become out of sight, out of mind. And then you feel like you're bothering them when you're asking for that. We have in place a nice reminder way to send that out to get those reviews.
Well, Cheryl, you're clearly passionate about what you do, and anybody that I know that's passionate about what they do, they have a why behind it. So I'm curious, what is your why? Why are you so passionate about marketing and helping people optimize their SEO platforms and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I've been in this industry in different avenues in my life for the past 20 years. And I'm a firm believer that all of us work very, very hard at what we do. And I think a lot of people are just missing that boat, or they just don't understand how to do it. But I love this industry. I love the real estate, the mortgage industry. And so I have a great deal of passion for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so you're really getting out there and making a difference in mortgage professional and real estate's agent's life, because you're helping them to get a presence online and making it easier, because you may not think about this because you're not recognizing it. It's just something that's happening behind the scenes when that customer is calling you, and you may not feel that you're getting that connection that you would like. We can feel that, but knowing the reason that's happening, why behind it. Whereas if you can convert and have a better conversation up front, because that first impression, what in the heck just fell back there?
You almost got your head lopped off by a
Oh my
Beatles
gosh.
poster.
Well, this is what happens on the Money Hour. We've got stuff that has fallen all over the place. That was fun, right, Cheryl?
Right, that was great.
Anyway, okay, back to business here with Cheryl. But literally, I almost got killed here. If we were on video, for anybody that's listening, you could see that. So Cheryl, that's something that I think people don't even realize what's happening. So what kind of comments and thank yous are you receiving back from your clients? Because I imagine that they're seeing some type of shift in that process when those clients are initially calling to work with them.
I think what's happening is by doing this, by building your online reputation and that digital footprint, it becomes, rather than just buying a lead or doing a mailer or coming across a card, now what's happening is that disconnect from before is all finally coming together.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents or loan officers are so grateful because they just didn't know how and how is this possible, or they just don't know have the time. And so that's what's great about what we do. We do it for you. You get an account manager. You have a team of people that are working for you.
Yeah. Please remember, if you're listening to the show, no reviews are as bad as bad reviews.
Absolutely.
So you have to get reviews.
Well, Cheryl, it looks like we're wrapping up. But before we do that, we definitely, obviously, are adding a ton of value to people. So how can people get a hold of you, and is there any promotional deals maybe for our listeners?
Oh,
Yeah, absolutely. So you can reach me. My phone number is 206-462-4821, or you can email me at Cheryl@Agvo.com. And any of the listeners that are listening, we do typically have a $250 setup fee. I'm willing to waive that for anybody that reaches out to me on behalf of the show.
wonderful, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then you can, of course, always call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or go online to themoneyhour.com, and we'll definitely connect you with Cheryl. Cheryl, thank you so much for coming in and joining us. We really appreciate it and look forward to having you back.
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah. Coming up next in the Money Hour, we have Brookes of Seed Intellectual Property Law Group, Strategic Advantages and Pitfalls in Patents. Ignorance is not bliss. Right here at 1150 a.m. KKNW after this short break.
Would you like to make a real difference for local individuals and families that are struggling with poverty, homelessness, abuse, and violence? Assistance League of the Eastside is an all-volunteer, nonprofit organization that works to improve the lives of our neighbors every day. With your generosity, we can help individuals and families right here in our community through our philanthropic programs, including Operation School Bell. This year, Operation School Bell has provided 3,500 local children in need the opportunity to shop for new clothes, shoes, and coats. This helps them focus on learning, and they go to school with more confidence. To learn more about how you can become a volunteer with our organization or make a tax-deductible donation, visit aleastside.org.
Whatever your business is, your online reputation is what drives your potential customers to buy from you instead of your competitors. It is no secret that people more frequently utilize businesses that are recommended by other consumers and that have high ratings in comparison to their competitors. The more stars your average rating has, the better you are in the eyes of a consumer. Your positive reviews impact sales, search results, and visibility on the map. So how can you do that? Welcome to Agua. We're here to take care of all your online reputation management. With Agua, you can finally get those positive reviews that speak louder than any marketing campaign and drive more traffic to your business. Visit Agua today and get started with your free reputation analysis.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Thompson with Agua. You can reach me at 206-462-4821 or email me at cheryl@agvo.com.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to the Money Hour on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, August 3rd show. I am your host, Tina Mitchell.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts. We are here to help you build a strong financial blueprint 1 week and one show at a time. If you're hearing our show at a different time or day, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to connect you with the guest. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, first time for our guest, we have Brooke Quist of Seed Intellectual Property Law Group, Strategic Advantages and Pitfalls in Patents. Ignorance is not bliss. Brooke, thank you so much for joining us today. So excited to have a conversation with you.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And a little bit about Brooke. Brooke is a partner at Seed Intellectual Property Law Firm, LLP, with over 22 years of experience in intellectual property law. Prior to joining Seed IP, Brooke was a partner at Steptoe and Johnson LLP. Before practicing law, Mr. Quist was a senior research and design engineer in the aircraft division of Northwest Corporation. Brooke specializes in domestic and foreign intellectual property, including strategic portfolio development, patent preparation, and prosecution. Freedom to operate opinions, patent invalidity and non-infringent opinions, due diligent investigations, client counseling, licensing, and technology transfer agreements. Brooke lectures on U.S. patent practices at the University of Washington's renowned Center for Advanced Study and Research on Innovation. And I know, Brooke, that you actually just earlier this week, you did a really big speaking engagement. How'd that go?
It went well. I've been speaking quite a bit recently. I spoke at the WISPLA event, which is a Washington State Intellectual Property Association, and then also yesterday was at the Washington State Bar Association for our 24th annual IP Institute. We had lots of great speakers there, including the director of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office came and gave a great speech as well.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I know you do a lot of educating around patent, and that's why we have you here in studio. So excited to have you.
Super. Happy to be here.
Brooke, that's really cool. I'm a big fan of Shark Tank, and that's my exposure to patents where they talk about that all the time. You got a patent, is a utility patent. And I was like, wow, that's kind of important if you think about it. Why should you, for our listeners out there, care about your patent?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Shark Tank because that's most people's exposure to patent laws.
Yeah, right.
And so it's a good takeoff from there is, why do they always ask, do you have any patents? And the reason is they want to know, do you have a competitive advantage in the marketplace? Mm-hmm. Is there anything that's going to be a barrier to your potential competitors coming in and trying to do the same thing you're doing? because there's always going to be someone who's bigger or, can do things cheaper because, of where they're located or so forth. And so if you have some way to protect what you're doing, that's going to give you an advantage, and it's going to make someone like those in Shark Tank who are investors know that it's a good investment. When I was speaking yesterday at the Washington State Bar Association, I was moderating one panel, and we had an investment banker there, and they said that of every single company that they currently had on their portfolio, they all had an IP strategy. They all either had their own patents or were licensing patents or had some way that they were protecting what they're doing. Now, that's not always going to be true. These guys were particularly focused, but it just really shows that that's going to give you an advantage. And that's not the only way it can be done. You can also, some companies will license, they're not actually doing what the patents do, but they're licensing their patents out to others. And that can be a way that someone small can compete in a big space. I had one client who was a stay-at-home mom, and she had an invention that was a pet-related device, and she was never going to be able to compete with all the big dogs in that market, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But we were able to get a license agreement with her for one of the big companies, and then she could have that money kind of roll on in from that investment. And also, that's a way that someone small can keep from being protected against someone big, is if you license to one of the big guys, then they can fight off the other big guy instead of you having to do that.
Yeah, and we hear about that on Shark Tank too, the licensing.
Kevin O'Leary, what's going to stop me from taking your idea and squashing you like a bug?
Yeah.
He's got endless. He's Daddy Warbucks. He's got endless pockets. So.
Yeah, those are valid questions. You want to make sure you ask those.
Yeah.
So, Brooke, what are some other real benefits of having patents?
So one thing that they sometimes don't get into it in as much detail in Shark Tank, but if you were following up on their after conversations, you probably would, was not just do you have patents, but are your patents really on what your technology is or whatever it is that you're selling? What's your business model? Where are you making your money? And is that where your patents are located? Are they really strategic right on your business development strategy? Because lots of people will file patents with the best of intentions, and then the direction of the company tilts a little bit. They go in a different direction, and they wind up with a bunch of patents that really aren't that valuable because they're not on what they're really doing. So, for example, I had one client that recently went through an acquisition from a multi-billion-dollar company, and as we were going through the due diligence, one of the things that the company that was acquiring them wanted to know was, match up your patents with your product. Show me where the patents and where these claims match up with what you're actually doing, with what you're selling, with how it. And if you have that, that's great. That's powerful. If you don't have that, then it's nice, and it can. Those patents can give, some good feelings, some goodwill, some confidence to your engineers or other technical people, and that might be great, but it's not near as powerful as if they're really protecting your product. Another thing to look at. Sorry to keep going here, but another thing to look at is, are you really at a choke point in the marketplace? Are you, with what you're protecting with your patent, is that the only way to do something? Because if it is, that's going to be a lot more powerful. If you are doing something and you get a patent on it, let's say a way to encrypt a file, there's 20 different ways to do that, maybe even more. So just because you've protected your way that you're doing it, your competitors can do something that's equivalent, that's different than what you're doing, but achieves the same effect. So that patent isn't going to be near as powerful. But if you've got the only way that something can be done, that's something that's really going to give you a big advantage.
So, Brooke, would you say kind of like an estate plan and your financial plan and your taxes? I mean, you're looking at these things on an annual basis. Is that important when you have a patent as well, that you're having it reviewed by your attorney to make sure that any changes that are happening, that you're kind of, looking at that, or is that not necessary?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different than that, but let's start out and explain that the patent prosecution, the process during which you get the patent, is a several-year period. So the patent office likes to say on average it's 3 years. So let's just go with that for sake of argument. And it may be, I think they like to estimate 14 months before you get your first official review of that patent.
Okay.
And then usually that first official review, they tell you that you can't have the patent for one or more reasons. And actually that you kind of want to get that. If you get the first action allowance, it's kind of like if you get a new job and you ask for a salary and they go, yes, right away. You're like, oh, I didn't ask for enough, did I?
Yes.
So usually, not always, but usually you're trying to ask for enough that the first thing you get is a refusal, and then you go back and you explain to them why you're different than what's out there and why you should get that patent, and then you go through that back and forth process. So during that year or 2 or 3, you should be in contact, your patent attorney, and the client, the company or the engineers or whoever is taking charge of that reign, should be in contact and letting your patent attorney know how your product has developed in that period of time.
Okay, yeah, of course.
So that when you have those opportunities to amend your claim section as you go through the patent prosecution process, that you can keep it on focus. Or you might find that if unfortunately that product didn't make it. The company went another direction, and then so you may not want to pursue that. Or you may want to get the patent and see if there's an opportunity to license it or sell it to someone else. But by keeping abreast of what's happening during that course, you can make sure that you keep it on focus.
Yeah.
Another thing to account for is maybe your product that you're making in-house is different or stopped, but your competitor is doing something. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that you try and get something that's going to cover your competitors, assuming that you've got support for that in your patent, so that you've got an advantage in the marketplace.
Got it.
That's really interesting. I noticed on Shark Tank, you have somebody that comes in with a product, and then they'll mention their patent, and then all of a sudden the sharks light up like, oh, wait a second, because it's all about how your patent is written and designed. And some of these business owners that are pitching it have no idea on how valuable just their patent is. Their product is worthless, but this patent and the way it's verbalized is priceless. So they get all excited about that and show a completely different angle. In your opinion, Brooke, what makes a patent more valuable than the next?
Well, like we were saying there, partially it's about does your patent cover actual technology that's either you're using or other people want to use. Mm-hmm. So if you have a patent and it's on technology that's either not being utilized by you or by someone else, that's going to be less valuable. Mm-hmm. The easiest way to put a valuation, to put a price on something, is if there's an actual marketplace for it. So if you can say, oh, I'm selling these products and I can attribute these sales directly to my patent because I'm selling and my competitor's not, and the reason I'm selling is because I've got a patented feature. That's the easiest way to do it.
Makes sense.
But there's other times when someone like the sharks you talk about, or the investment banker I had on the panel yesterday, will say, oh, that person has patents and they don't realize how valuable they are. Mm-hmm. So they will sometimes, when that company goes under or needs financial, is in financial distress, they'll have an opportunity to buy those up and then apply them to an area that they know has potential value.
Wow, that's sneaky.
That's really sneaky. So, Brooke, what about dangers, the biggest danger when it comes to patent law?
Yeah, so the biggest dangers that a lot of small businesses and independent inventors don't know is that you can actually bar yourself from getting a patent if you don't act quick enough. Now, with other types of intellectual property like trademarks and copyrights, you can have your copyrighted material, like your website or your book or whatever, out for years, decades, and then protect it. Then go and file for protection. Same with your trademark.
Like my coaching program, I had 5 years before I did mine.
Yeah, because you get common law protection, and it actually gets stronger during that period. Mm-hmm. But with patents, when you disclose your idea, or you sell it, or you offer it for sale, that starts a 1-year clock ticking. And at the end of that year, you bar yourself from getting a patent on your own technology.
Oh my gosh.
So never. You're just done.
Yeah, at least on that version. We have had cases where clients have come in and they haven't known that. And we say, well, 1.0 is gone, but what about 2.0?
Okay, so there's some ways around
You're still
that.
inventing, right?
Yes.
They go, oh yeah, we're still inventing.
Yeah.
So we can come in, and if the changes that they're making are significant enough that they're patentable on their own, then we can come in and help later on. But it's much better in the beginning, and that's why we always try and encourage people, even if you don't know if you have something that's patentable, come to me or other reputable patent attorney will usually, give you a free consultation and say, hey, do I have something here that I need to worry about that I should try and protect. So let's say you just have this new idea or this new concept or invention. Mm-hmm. The first thing that people usually want to do is talk about it. They want to tell an advisor, or they want to tell a potential investor. So how can they protect themselves? So the two main ways people can do that is either by using a non-disclosure agreement, or by using what's called a provisional patent. Both of them have limitations, but they both are far better than nothing. The problems with non-disclosure agreements is that a lot of investors and venture capital people just won't sign them. There can also be some issues as to, what's your recourse if someone violates it. You only have a contract recourse. You don't have patent recourse. And then with a provisional application, that gives you a 1-year placeholder during which to go back and file a real patent on that. So you can file those usually pretty quickly and, at a fraction of the cost of an actual patent. And then you can have some protection to go and talk to whoever you want to talk about and know that you're not going to be shooting yourself in the foot. Some dangers there, though, is you're only protecting what you actually file on. So if you file a real short provisional and then go and talk beyond what's covered in there, everything beyond what was covered is
fair game
for you to be shooting yourself in the foot again.
Oh, bummer.
Wow. Well, Brooke, thank you so much. I wish we had more time with you. You have so much information around this, and I just really appreciate you coming in and sharing with our listeners.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thanks
Love
for having
to have
me.
you back.
Sounds good.
This is your host, Tina Mitchell,
And I am your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
your local mortgage expert, signing off for the day. Enjoy your Saturday, and we look forward to being here next week, same time, same place, right on 1150 AM KKNW.
Tina Mitchell, MLO 145420, and Keelan Harvey, MLO 1330075, are licensed loan originators with Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, and MLS 7233. The views expressed by the speakers on the preceding program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC, nor are they necessarily endorsed by Gateway Mortgage Group, LLC.